To continue in تذكرة السامع والمتكلم of Ibn Jamaah rahimahullah, in the chapter we're studying, we have reached point number 6. And the point number 6, he mentions that he should strive in teaching him, the student, and making him understand, without overdoing it, whereas his mind can't handle it, or in detail where he can't memorize it properly. Meaning, you should know from the student's situation what is too much for him. He should clarify to him the phrases and repeat it so that he may understand it. He should first mention the affair, then start to clarify it with different examples and mentioning evidences. If he is not able to understand the evidences, he mentions the affair and the examples only. And the one who understands, he mentions the proofs and also the rebuttals. He also clarifies to him the hidden wisdoms behind it. He should mention to him that which is similar to this. He should not be shy from mentioning a word which one is generally shy of mentioning if he is in need of that. And the clarification is not complete except by way of mentioning it. Meaning, if you have to mention it clearly, this affair which one feels shy from mentioning and is not able to attain that except by mentioning, you mention it. But if one can use a metaphor instead, then he should suffice with that. It comes from the Prophet ﷺ that sometimes he would mention it openly and sometimes he would use a metaphor for it. Now, benefit regarding this speech of the author, that knowledge is not praiseworthy due to it being a lot, but rather it is praiseworthy if it is beneficial and benefits others. So it's not something that you merely sit there and you try to give the student all you have with you. Rather, that which is beneficial and benefits him is what you give him. If it is too above his head or above his capability, do not give him more than that which he's able to understand. People regarding studying in their minds are two types. One who is strong. When taught something, he accepts it and understands it fast. The second one, he is weak in understanding. He is slow in understanding. One must repeat it to him or clarify in different ways or use different examples. If the student is the second type, meaning this one who is weak, then the teacher should clarify the affairs and seek nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that, being patient upon that. For the intent behind teaching is to reach the good to the people, and if that necessitates repetition, then that is commanded with it, because that is the only way he may understand. Now, students are three types. One is a beginner, and the affair is presented and portrayed to him. Meaning, you just present the affair to him and portray it to him. The second one, when he moves up a bit, he is at the middle level. The affair is presented to him and portrayed to him, and he is also made aware of the evidences. And the third one is a strong student, the one who was above the middle level. At the high level, the affair is presented to him, and he is shown the evidences, he knows it, and also is able to refute those who oppose this statement, and he is taught that. So now every student is taught the right way. For my benefit, that some of them mention is that one should teach, generally if he's teaching a big class, he teaches at the middle level. So that the one who is beginner, he understands, and the one who is above that, he is able to benefit as well. But one should know the levels of his students so that he can clarify to them the right way. He should not just portray or show them the affairs and then also evidences and the rebuttals and refuting this and refuting that, if he's not able to comprehend even the evidence in of itself firstly. Number 7, he says, when the Shaykh finishes his lesson, there is no problem in him mentioning different affairs to the students, testing their understanding of what he explained to them. The one who gets it right, he thanks him, and the one who does not, he is kind in repeating it to him. A student may be shy so to say, I don't understand, either due to not making the teacher repeat that which is needed to repeat it, or the time being short, or being shy from those present, or so for their reading upon the Shaykh is not delayed. So that their reading upon the Shaykh is not delayed. For that reason, it is not befitting for the teacher to say to the student, did you understand? Except if he feels safe from him saying yes, whilst he hasn't understood. If he is not safe from that, due to him being shy or other than that, then he should not ask him, did you understand? Or if he understood, for that might enter him into lying if he says, yes, I understood, and he has not understood. Rather, the affair should be mentioned. You should mention, example, the wudu of the Prophet ﷺ, what is the evidence for such and such? You do not tell him, did you understand? Because he may feel shy and say yes, and he never understood, and may enter him into lying. The teacher should encourage the students to accompany one another in the lesson and repeat it after the lesson. After the lesson is done, they sit together and repeat the lesson and go through the points so that it stays in their minds and strengthens their understanding. Benefits regarding this point is one should have a companion in seeking knowledge, and this is important, as that strengthens they support and strengthen one another. As it comes in narrations, Sahaba radiallahu anhum, if one was not able to attend the class, his companion would attend the class and he would benefit him. And if the other was not able to attend, and such. So you support one another. And a person may become weak, but if he has one who accompanies him, they will support one another in staying strong. And it's something known that you find when doing it alone, at times it becomes hard. But with support, it becomes easy. If you see someone upon the same way as you, striving and studying as you, it gives you that encouragement to continue. And when you become weak, he encourages you and puts you back up to come and study and to benefit. But one should not increase the number that Shaykh Salih al-Usaimi mentions. Why? Because the benefit will not be attained. So he says you should restrict it to 2, 3, or 4 people, because when it becomes too much, you start discussing amongst one another and the benefit gets taken away. As for repeating after the lesson is done, one who does not repeat the lessons or the benefits, then in reality he won't benefit from most of the lesson, for he will forget most of the points. Now these are affairs that if one really comprehends and understands them, they are there to make the student stronger and make his understanding strong of these affairs. The more you repeat something, the more it stays firm in your mind. And the more you review it, the more you become stronger in it. So it's important for a student knowledge to review and also to repeat his knowledge, and not be from those who benefit it once or hear it once and let it go, for he will forget it sooner or later. And for what I remember, some of the Mashaykh that mentioned Shaykh Al-Uthaymin, Al-Ilm Tikrar, that knowledge is to repeat, constantly repeating something. Number 8, he should seek from the student at times to repeat that which they memorize, and test their understanding of the important principles and rare affairs he has given them. He should test them on building the affairs on a foundation, mentioning a proof if he is correct, mentioning proofs. If he is correct, he praises him, so long as he is not misled by that praise, and he thanks him amongst his companions, so it could encourage them in increasing and seeking knowledge. The one who does not answer right though, and he does not fear of him being put off and turning away, he should be stern with him regarding his failure to understand. He encourages him to have high determination and to attain high status and seeking knowledge. Especially if this sternness or being firm with him increase him in striving and being thankful. If the teacher, if he sees a need, he repeats that which is needed to be repeated, so that he may understand it correctly, the student may understand it correctly. Now, one cannot truly benefit, regarding this point, is that one cannot truly benefit from that which you memorize, except if it is often repeated, for that makes it firm, and the teacher testing his students with that which they memorize is very beneficial. If the teacher says, example, it comes in the hadith of so and so, who reported it, who was a sahabi, this is beneficial. Or the sahabi said this and it comes in this book and this hadith, what is the word in the hadith? And you find this much with the Mashaykh of Yemen. In the audios they say, example, they mention a hadith and they say, man sahabiyyo, who was the one who reported, wa man rawah, and who was the one who narrated this hadith. This makes the mind think quick and understand, and shows the strength of one's memorization. For if he has not memorized it properly, he will not be able to put it forth. For that reason they say, in regards to ad-dabt fil hifz, when it comes to hadith, they say that dabt is to mention that which you memorize whenever you want to. You're able to mention it, you mention it. As for the statement, whenever it's seek from you, then some of them they say that this is not dabt. Why? Because perhaps you may be in a state of anger and such. When they seek from you, you will not be able to mention it. So whenever you want to mention that which you memorize, you're able to mention it, that is memorization. But if you have to return to the book, then you have not repeated that which you have memorized. And if you are stuttering in it, and from what the Mashaykh they mention, from the Mashaykh Mukwi rahimahullah, that you find some of the students, they say, أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, often, or as the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, because it shows the weakness in the memorization. So it's important that the teachers test the students regarding these affairs, to see how strong the memorization is, to see if they really memorize right, to see if the understanding of the memorization is correct, and like this. Now, testing the students' important for knowledge is not just presenting it to the students, but rather there must be some form of testing them to see if they understood the points, for them to use their minds so that they become strong with that which they have understood. As for merely relaying knowledge to them without testing them, then this in reality leads to blind following, as they do not know how their teacher used different evidences. And it's not merely to know the statements of your teacher, but to know different evidences. Example, you find this often. You ask him, what is the evidence for such and such? He'll say that the Shaykh said it, and this is wrong. But when the teachers test him and it tells him what is evidence for this, what is evidence for that. It makes a student strong with the evidences. And this is something which is important. The affair is not that you know the statements of your teacher. My sheikh says this statement is correct and this statement is correct. No, rather the affair is that my sheikh said this statement is correct and the proof and evidence for that is this statement, or this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, or this ayah. That is important for a student to understand and to get to that point, where the student is able to say that this is the stance of the sheikh, but this is the evidence that he uses. Not merely the sheikh's statement is such and such and leave it at that. For that ends up leading to blindfolding. And he will say to him, what is the evidence for this? He says, I don't know, all I know is the sheikh said it. That means he's not really understood what the sheikh is teaching him. So it's important to constantly test the students to see if they really understood where you got your point from, what are the evidences you use, and as such. Now this is clear, this is something which is important, that a teacher does this with the students, so the student becomes strong. So these are affairs that the author mentions in order for the student to become strong in his knowledge. Often repeating, the teacher testing him, having companions to study with. These are affairs which are important for the student to understand, and is something which one should pay concern to. We'll stop with this for today, inshallah, and continue next week. وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.